Here's one last thing I have for you. What we're going to talk about when we come back, and this is why it's very important, only 10 minutes. It's 11 o'clock now, come back in 11:05, come back at 11:15. We're going to talk about something that happens to a lot of people. People that find themselves consistently in a negative, ineffective state that they don't enjoy living in, like anger or stress. Who here has found themselves consistent? Now, feeling stress or feeling angry once in a while is okay. Feeling anxious once in a while is normal. It's a reaction to circumstance. But who's found themselves in a consistent state of, for example, guilt, I hear, stress, anger, to where it's become much more a part of their life than they enjoy? Raise your hands high. Who's done that? Stress, anger, look at, keep them up, keep them up. Stress, anger, look at this, about half of the people in the room consistently in these states at some time. What we're going to talk about when we come back is how to destroy that for you forever, and how to make sure that you can live in the state of mind, in the state of being, in the state of feeling that you would truly enjoy being in. Everybody who thinks that might be a useful thing to learn, raise your hand and say, aye, please. Aye. Good. In a state of stress, in a state of anxiety, in a state of this more than you certainly would like to have it as a part of your life. Who's ever been in that category? Show of hands. Oh, now more hands are going up. The blood sugar's back up. Well, this model that I'm about to show you really could be life-changing. These next few minutes, I'm telling you, if you apply this to yourself, you can apply it again and again. You can use this model for the rest of your life. And I want to give you a quick story about how I came up with this. I was working with a company. I do corporate training. A lot of people have me come in on retainer, train their sales teams in-house. And I had this one company I was working with. And it was going great. We were doing sales scripting, prospecting, overcoming objections, all these kind of work. And after about 2 to 3 months, their sales were up 30%. And the reason I mention this is because right at that point, the CEO called me in his office. And he says, Mike, I need your help. I said, okay. He says, I want to become one of your one-on-one coaching clients. I said, okay, why? What's up? And he said, I'm still stressed. I said, what do you mean, still stressed? And he says, I'm still stressed. He goes, to tell you the truth, yes, I did hire you so that my company became more productive and would make more money, and you've done that. He goes, that's the problem. Our sales are up 30%. I said, I can see why you'd be upset with that. He said, no, no, no. He says, the whole reason I wanted that to happen was because I felt like once that happened, I wouldn't be stressed anymore. But I'm still stressed out. How many of you have ever had that happen? You said you had a once-then goal. Once I get to this goal, then I'll feel better. And you got to the goal and you didn't feel better. Who's ever had that happen? Show of hands. A lot of people. Here is why. And this is interesting. So we went to work together, me and this gentleman, as in a one-on-one coaching format. And this is what we came up with. Turn to your book in the place where it says, you're going to see this chart, where it says, reframing consistently negative states. Is this showing up okay on the camera, Manny? Say again? It'll be okay. Okay. And you'll see here, what we found out was this. Anytime you've got this state of being here, state, right? And then as you see right here, you've got forearms moving out from it, some dots at the end of the arms. These are the payoffs. Payoffs. And these dots are actually anchoring beliefs. Anchoring beliefs. Anchoring. And we said, this is how the human mind works. Here's the interesting thing. So you're starting and you're saying, okay, here's the deal. I've got this state I'm in and I don't like it. And here's the answer to this. Yes, you do. You just don't know it. See, whenever you're doing a state consistently, guilt, anger, anxiety, stress, it's because your mind believes that by being in that state, you're going to get certain payoffs. Certain good things are going to happen for you. And the thing that anchors those payoffs to that state is a belief system you've formed over time. Now, what do you mean by that? Take a look at the next page. By the way, the key to finding a way to get the key is finding a way to get the payoffs in a way that makes us feel good. And when changing a negative state of mind, you must first realize the old pattern is not bad. It's not wrong. It is, in fact, a perfectly functioning system. It works. It's just not doing what you want it to. So it's better to simply accept that this is the pattern you've been running and that you want to change to a pattern that serves you better. Does that make sense? A little bit. Show of hands. Who's with me so far? Is there anybody who doesn't understand? Because this is important. I want to make sure. Okay, good. So let's get to this particular CEO and what we did for him. And this is what was interesting. We said, okay, Tom, what state is it that you're in? And he said, okay, well, the state that I'm mostly in is a state of stress. How many of you are familiar with this old friend? Show of hands. Only a few? Come on, everybody's out there. How many people are familiar with this state? Good. Well, not good. We're going to find out. Stress. And then we had the payoffs. I said, well, what are your payoffs from being stressed? And he said, well, there is no payoff. It feels terrible. And I said, okay. But if there were payoffs or reasons why you're stressed, what would they be? And so it was interesting. He came up and he had a few beliefs about it. He says, well, of course I'm stressed, Mike. He goes, my job is important. So that's one payoff. He gets to feel what? Important. My job is important. And he says, and I take this very seriously. You know. And besides, he goes, I'm a responsible guy. I want to make sure that everything goes right. Right? I'm a responsible guy. And last off, he said, by the way, and I care. He says, I care about this company. Now, let me ask you this. So here's the belief system that the gentleman has, right? That he wants to feel responsible. He wants to feel like he cares about people. He wants to feel important. And he wants people to know he's serious. Are these bad things to want, by the way? Yes or no? No. The payoffs are good. It's perfectly legitimate to want to get those things. The challenge is, under his belief system, if he stops feeling stressed, what does it mean? He doesn't care. He's not taking things seriously. He's being irresponsible, right? And it also means what? He's not important. I mean, obviously, if I'm not stressing out, it must mean that my job doesn't mean much anymore. So if he actually stops stressing, it becomes very difficult for him to feel good about himself. Does that make sense? Yeah. Who's beginning to see where this might work in your own life just a little bit? I just want to see who's following me so far. Right. So we said, okay, well, we want to reframe these beliefs. We still want to get him these same payoffs, but we want to do it in a way that he can feel what? And he can still feel good instead of bad. They can be healthy instead of unhealthy. And so he said, okay, let's start with this same thing. Let's start with this same thing. And we did a new little chart. We said, okay, let's have the same payoffs: important, serious, responsible, and caring. Important, serious, responsible, and caring. And I said to him, what state would you like to be in, Tom? What state would you enjoy being in if it wasn't stress? And he goes, well, I don't know. Doesn't seem like there's any way I couldn't be stressed. I said, it doesn't, does it? Not with the system you set up. By the way, again, is that system wrong? I mean, are important people stressed because they have important things to do? Yes or no? Yeah. Right, and if someone is being very responsible, do they sometimes stress out because they want to make sure everything goes right? Yes or no? Right. So is this wrong? The way he was doing it before? Attaching these things to stress? Is that wrong? No. What's the problem with it? It's just getting him the payoffs in a way that make him feel what? Terrible. And that are affecting his health. How else were they also affecting his family life? Right? Probably how he treats his employees, maybe in his company. If the CEO is stressed, what does that generally do to a company? Right, it can be a disaster. So he said, well, if there was a state you'd rather be in, what was it? And he got all dreamy-eyed. It was amazing what she was, oh, if I could be something other than stressed. I said, well, that's why you hired me, so let's make this happen, right?